everyone. Thanks for joining us. Welcome to reading from Song of Myself from Leaves of Grass by Walt Whitman. Walt Whitman, the father of modern American poetry, was born in 1819 on Long Island, New York. Leaves of Grass was published on July 4, 1855. It changed American poetry forever. He died in 1892 in Camden, New Jersey. He wrote, quote, "I am the poet of the body, and I am the poet of the soul. I am the poet of the woman, the same as the man. And I say it is as great to be a woman as to be a man. And I say there is nothing greater than the mother of men." The distinguished readers are, in order of appearance, John Towey, Corinne Conley, and Kay Weissman. Here's John Towey.
Hi, everybody. This is Leaves of Grass, Walt Whitman's Leaves of Grass. I celebrate myself, and what I assume, you shall assume. For every atom belonging to me as good belongs to you. I loaf and invite my soul. I lean and loaf at my ease, observing a spear of summer grass. If you like kisses, a few embraces, a reaching around of arms, the play of shine and shade on the trees as the supple boughs wag, the delight alone, or in the rush of the streets or along the fields and hillsides, the feeling of health, the full noon trill, the song of me rising from bed and meeting the sun. Have you reckoned 1,000 acres much? Have you reckoned the earth much? Have you practiced so long to learn to read? Have you felt so proud to get at the meaning of poems? Stop this day and night with me, and you shall possess the origins of all poems. You shall possess the good of the earth and the sun. There are millions of suns left. You shall no longer take things at second or third hand, nor look through the eyes of the dead, nor feed on the specters in books. You shall not look through my eyes either, nor take things from me. You shall listen to all sides and filter them from yourself. I have heard what the talkers are talking, talk of the beginning and the end, but I do not talk of the beginning and the end. There was never any more inception than there is now, nor any more youth or age than there is now, and will never be any more perfection than there is now, nor any more heaven or hell than there is now. Urge and urge and urge, always the procreant urge of the world. One of the dimmest opposite equals, advance. Always substance and increase, always a knit of identity, always distinction, always a breed of life. To elaborate is no avail. Learned and unlearned feel that it is so. Sure as the most certain sure, plumb in the uprights, well entreated, bracing at the beams, stout as a horse, affectionate, haughty, electrical, I and this mystery here we stand. Clear and sweet is my soul, and clear and sweet is all that is not my soul. Lack one, lacks both. And the unseen is proved by the seen. So that becomes unseen and receives proof in its turn, showing the best and dividing it from the worst. Age vexes age, knowing the perfect fitness and equanimity of things. While they discuss, I am silent and go bathe and admire myself. Welcome in every organ and attribute of me and in any man hearty and clean, not an inch nor a particle of an inch is vile, and mine shall be less familiar than the rest. I'm satisfied. I see, dance, laugh, sing. As God comes a living bedfellow and sleeps at my side all night and close on the peep of the day, and leaves for me baskets covered with white towels bulging the house with their plenty. Shall I postpone my acceptation and realization and scream at any eyes, and scream at my eyes that they turn from gazing after and down the road, and forthright suffer and show me to a scent exactly the contents of one and exactly the contents of two, and which is ahead. Trippers and askers surround me. People I meet, the effect on me of my early life, of the ward and city I live in, the nation, the latest news, discoveries, inventions, societies, authors old and new, my dinner, dress, associate, looks, business, compliments, dues, the real or fancied indifference of some man or woman I love, the sickness of one of my folks, or of myself, or ill-doing, or loss or lack of money, or depressions or exaltations. They come to me days and nights, and go from me again, but they are not the me, myself. Apart from the pulling and hauling stands what I am, stands amused, complacent, compassionating, idle, unitary. Can you see me?
Yes.
The host has spotlighted your video for everyone. Okay. Looks down, is erect, bends an arm on an impalpable certain rest, looks with its side-curved head, curious what will come next, both in and out of the game, and watching and wondering at it. Backward, I see in my own days where I sweated through fog with linguists and contenders. I have no mockings or arguments. I witness and wait. I believe in you, my soul. The other I am must not abase itself to you, and you must not be abased to the other. Loaf with me on the grass. Loose the stop from your throat. Not words, not music or rhyme I want, not custom or lecture, not even the best, only the lull I like. The hum of your valved voice. I mind how we lay in June, such a transparent summer morning. You settled your head athwart my hips and gently turned over upon me, and parted the shirt from my bosom bone, and plunged your tongue to my bare stripped heart, and reached till you felt my beard, and reached till you held my feet. Swiftly arose and spread around me the peace and joy and knowledge that pass all the art and argument of the earth. And I know that the hand of God is the elder hand of my own. And I know that the Spirit of God is the eldest brother of my own, and that all the men ever born are also my brothers, and the women my sisters and lovers, and that a kelson of the creation is love. And limitless are leaves stiff or drooping in the fields, and brown ants in the little wells beneath them, and money scabs and mossy scabs of the worm fence, and heaped stones and elder and mullein and oakweed. A child said, "What is the grass?" feeding it to me with full hands. How could I answer the child? I do not know what it is any more than he. I guess it must be the flag of my disposition, out of hopeful green stuff woven. Or I guess it is the handkerchief of the Lord. A scented gift and remembrance designedly dropped, bearing the owner's name some way in the corners, that we may see and remark and say, whose? Or I guess the grass is itself a child, the produced babe of the vegetation. Or I guess it is the uniform hieroglyphic, and it means sprouting alike in broad notes and narrow zones, growing among black folks as among whites. Canuck, Tuckahoe, Congressman, Cuff, I give them the same. I receive them the same. And now it seems to me the beautiful uncut air of graves. Tenderly will I use you, curling grass. It may be you transpire from the breasts of young men. It may be if I had known them, I would have loved them. It may be you are from old people and from women and from offspring taken soon out of their mother's laps. And here you are the mother's laps. The grass is very dark to be from the white heads of old mothers, darker than the colorless beards of old men, dark to come from under the faint and roofs of mouths and the red roofs of mouths. Oh, I perceive after all so many uttering tongues, and I perceive they do not come from the roofs of mouths for nothing. I wish I could translate the hints about the dead young men and women, and the hints about old men and mothers and the offspring taken soon out of their laps. What do you think has become of the young and the old men? And what do you think has become of the women and children? They are alive and well somewhere. The smallest sprout shows there is really no death. And if ever there was, it led forward life and does not wait at the end to arrest it, and ceased the moment life appeared. All goes onward and outward, and nothing collapses. And to die is different from what anyone supposed, and luckier. Who goes there? Hankering, gross, mystical, nude? How is it I extract strength from the beef I eat? What is a man anyhow? What am I? And what are you? All I mark as my own, you shall offset it with your own, else it were time lost listening to me. I do not snivel the world over, that months are vacuums in the ground but wallow in filth, that life is a suck and a cell, and nothing remains at the end but threadbare crepe and tears, whimpering and truckling full with powders for invalids. Conformity goes to the fourth removed. I cock my hat as I please, indoors or out. Shall I pray? Shall I venerate and be ceremonious? I have pried through the strata and analyzed to a hair, and counseled with doctors and calculated close, and found no sweeter fat than sticks to my own bones. In all people I see myself, none more and not one a barley corn less. And the good or bad I say of myself, I say of them. And I know I am solid and sound. To me, the converging objects of the universe perpetually flow. All are written to me, and I must get what the writing means. And I know that I am deathless. I know this orbit of mine cannot be swept by a carpenter's compass. I know I shall not pass like a child's curlicue cut with a burnt stick at night. I know I am august. I do not trouble my spirit to vindicate itself or be understood. I see that the elementary laws never apologize. I reckon I behave no prouder than the level I plant my house by, after all. I exist as I am, and that is enough. If no other in the world be aware, I sit content. And if each and all be aware, I sit content. One world is aware, and by far the largest to me, and that is myself. And whether I come to my own today or in 10,000 or 10 million years, I can cheerfully take it now, or with equal cheerfulness, I can wait. My foothold is tenoned. I don't know what that word means. I didn't have time to look it up. My foothold is tenoned and mortised in granite. I laugh at what you call disillusion, and I know the amplitude of time. Well,
thank you once again. You're always a wonderful reader. And now we're going to go to Corinne Conley.
I am the poet of the body, and I am the poet of the soul. The pleasures of heaven are with me, and the pains of hell are with me. The first I graft and increase upon myself. The latter I translate into a new tongue. I am the poet of the woman, the same as the man. And I say it is as great to be a woman as to be a man. And I say there is nothing greater than the mother of men. I chant a new chant of dilation or pride. We have had ducking and deprecating about enough. I show that size is only development. Have you outstripped the rest? Are you the president? It is a trifle. They will more than arrive there, every one, and still pass on. I am he that walks with the tender and growing night. I call to the earth and sea half held by the night. Press close, bare bosomed night. Press close, magnetic, nourishing night. Night of south winds, night of a large few stars. Still nodding light, mad naked summer night. Smile, O voluptuous, cool-breathed earth, earth of the slumbering and liquid trees, earth of departed sunset, earth of the mountains misty-topped, earth of the vitreous pour of the full moon just tinged with blue, earth of shine and dark, mottling the tide of the river, earth of the limpid gray of clouds, brighter and clearer for my sake. Far swooping elbowed earth, rich apple blossomed earth, smile, for your lover comes. Prodigal, you have given me love, therefore I give to you love. Oh, unspeakable, passionate love. Thruster holding me tight, and that I hold tight. We hurt each other as the bridegroom and the bride hurt each other. You, see, I resign myself to you also. I guess what you mean. I behold from the beach your crooked, inviting fingers. I believe you refuse to go back without feeling of me. We must have a turn together. I undress. Hurry me out of sight of the land. Cushion me soft. Rock me in billowy drowse. Dash me with amorous wet. I can repay you. Sea of stretched brown swells, sea breathing broad and convulsive breaths, sea of the brine of life, sea of unshoveled and always ready graves, howler and scooper of storms, capricious and dainty sea. I am integral with you. I, too, am of one phase and of all phases, partaker of influx and efflux, extoller of hate and conciliation, extoller of amis and those that sleep in each other's arms. I am here testing sympathy. Shall I make a list of my things in the house and skip the house that supports them? I am the poet of common sense and of the demonstrable and of immortality and am not the poet of goodness only. I do not decline to be the poet of wickedness also. Washers and razors for foo-foos. For me, freckles and a bristling beard. What blurt is it about virtue and about vice? Evil propels me, and reform of evil propels me. I stand indifferent. My gait is no fault finder's or rejector's gait. I moisten the roots of all that has grown. Did you hear some scrofula out of the unflagging pregnancy? Did you guess the celestial laws are yet to be worked over and rectified? I step up to say what we do is right, and what we affirm is right, and some is only the ore of right. Witnesses of us, one side of balance and the antipodal side of balance, soft doctrine, as steady help as stable doctrine. Thoughts and deeds of the present are rouse and early start. The minute that comes to me over the past decillions, there is no better than it, and now. What behaved well in the past or behaves well today is not such a wonder. The wonder is always and always how there can be a mean man or an infidel. I think I will do nothing for a long time but listen and accrue what I hear into myself, and let sounds contribute toward me. I hear the bravures of birds, the bustle of growing wheat, gossip of flames, clack of sticks cooking my meals. I hear the sound of the human voice, a sound I love. I hear all sounds as they are tuned to their uses, sounds of the city and sounds out of the city, sounds of the day and night. Talkative young ones to those that like them, the recitative of fish peddlers and fruit peddlers, the loud laugh of work people at their meals, the angry bass of disjointed friendship, the faint tones of the sick, the judge with hands right to the desk, his shaky lips pronouncing a death sentence. The heavey-o of stevedores unlading ships by the wharves, the refrain of the anchor lifters, the ring of alarm bells, the cry of fire, the whir of swift streaking engines, and hose carts with premonitory tinkles and colored lights. The steam whistle, the solid roll of the train of approaching cars, the slow march played at night at the head of the association. They go to guard some corpse. The flag tops are draped with black muslin. I hear the violoncello, or Nan's heart complaint, and hear the keyed cornet, or else the echo of sunset. I hear the chorus. It is a grand opera. This is indeed music. A tenor, large and fresh as the creation fills me. The orbic flex of his mouth is pouring and filling me full. I hear the trained soprano. She convulses me like the climax of my love grip. The orchestra whirls me wider than Uranus flies. It wrenches unnameable ardors from my heart. It throbs me to gulps and the farthest down horror. It sails me. I dab with bare feet. They are licked by the indolent waves. I am exposed, cut by bitter and poisoned hail. Steeped mid honeyed morphine, my windpipe squeezed in the fakes of death. Let up again to feel the puzzle of puzzles, and that we call being. To be in any form, what is that? If nothing lay more developed, the quahog and its callous shell were enough. Mine is no callous shell. I have instant conductors all over me, whether I pass or stop. They seize every object and lead it harmlessly through me. I merely stir, press, feel with my fingers, and am happy. To touch my person to someone else's is about as much as I can stand. Is this, then, a touch? Quivering me to a new identity? Flames and ether making a rush for my veins? Treacherous tip of me reaching and crowding to help them? My flesh and blood playing out lightning to strike what is hardly different from myself. On all sides, prurient provokers stiffening my limbs, straining the udder of my heart for its withheld drip, behaving licentious toward me, taking no denial, depriving me of my best as for a purpose, unbuttoning my clothes and holding me by the bare waist, deluding my confusion with the calm of the sunlight and pasture fields, immodestly sliding the fellow senses away. They bribed to swap off a touch and go and graze at the edges of me. No consideration, no regard for my draining strength or my anger, fetching the rest of the herd around to enjoy them a while, then all uniting to stand on a headland and worry me. The sentries desert every other part of me. They have left me helpless to a red marauder. They all come to the headland to witness and assist against me. I am given up by traitors. I talk wildly. I have lost my wits. I and nobody else am the greatest traitor. I went myself first to the headland. My own hands carried me there. You villain touch, what are you doing? My breath is tight in its throat. Unclench your floodgates. You are too much for me. Blind, loving, wrestling touch. Sheathed, hooded, sharp-toothed touch. Did it make you ache so, leaving me? Parting tracked by arriving. Perpetual payment of the perpetual loan. Rich, showering rain, and recompense richer afterward. Sprouts take and accumulate, stand by the curb prolific and vital, landscapes projected masculine, full-sized and golden. All truths wait in all things. They neither hasten their own delivery nor resist it. They do not need the obstetric forceps of the surgeon. The insignificant is as big to me as any. What is less or more than a touch? Logic and sermons never convince. The damp of the night drives deeper into my soul. Only what proves itself to every man and woman is so. Only what nobody denies is so. A minute and a drop of me settle my brain. I believe the soggy clods shall become lovers and lamps, and the compend of compends is the meat of a man or woman. And the summit and flower there is the feeling they have for each other. And they are to branch boundlessly out of that lesson until it becomes omnific, and until everyone shall delight us. and we them. I believe a leaf of grass is no less than the journey work of the stars, and the pismire is equally perfect, and a grain of sand and the egg of the wren, and the tree toad is a chef d'oeuvre for the highest, and the running blackberry would adorn the parlors of heaven, and the narrowest hinge in my hand puts to scorn all machinery, and the cow, crunching with depressed head, surpasses any statue, and the mouse is a miracle enough to stagger sextillions of infidels. And I could come every afternoon of my life to look at the farmer's girl boiling her iron tea kettle and baking shortcake. I find I incorporate yeast and coal and long-fetid moss and fruits and grains and esculent roots, and am stuccoed with quadrupeds and birds all over, and have distanced what is behind me for good reasons, and call anything close again when I desire it. In vain the speeding with shyness. In vain the plutonic rocks send their old heat against my approach. In vain the mastodon retreats beneath its own powdered bones. In vain objects stand leagues off and assume manifold shapes. In vain the oceans settling in hollows and the great monsters lying low. In vain the buzzard houses herself with the sky. In vain the snake slides through the creepers and logs. In vain the elk takes to the inner passes of the woods. In vain the razor-billed auk sails far north to Labrador. I follow quickly. I ascend to the nest in the fissure of the cliff. I think I could turn and live a while with the animals. They are so placid and so self-contained. I stand and look at them sometimes, half the day long. They do not sweat and whine about their condition. They do not lie awake in the dark and weep for their sins. They do not make me sick discussing their duty to God. No one is dissatisfied. Not one is demented with the mania of owning things. Not one kneels to another, nor to his kind that lived thousands of years ago. Not one is respectable or industrious over the whole earth. So they show their relations to me, and I accept them. They bring me tokens of myself. They evince them plainly in their possession. I do not know where they got these tokens. I must have passed that way untold times ago and negligently dropped them, myself moving forward then and now and forever, gathering and showing more always and with velocity. Infinite and omnigenous and the like of these among them. Not too exclusive toward the reachers of my remembrancers, picking out here one that shall be my ami, choosing to go with him on brotherly terms.
Thank you, Corinne. And now, Kay Weissman.
It is time to explain myself. Let us stand up. What is known, I strip away. I launch all men and women forward with me into the unknown. The clock indicates the moment, but what does eternity indicate? Eternity lies in bottomless reservoirs. Its buckets are rising forever and ever. They pour and they pour and they exhale away. We have thus far exhausted trillions of winters and summers. There are trillions ahead and trillions ahead of them. Births have brought us richness and variety, and other births will bring us richness and variety. I do not call one greater and one smaller. That which fills its period and place is equal to any. Were mankind murderous or jealous upon you, my brother or my sister, I am sorry for you. They are not murderous or jealous upon me. All has been gentle with me. I keep no account with lamentation. What do I have to do with lamentation? I am an acme of things accomplished, and I an encloser of things to be. My feet strike an apex of the apices of the stairs. On every step, bunches of ages, and larger bunches between the steps, all below duly traveled, and still I mount and mount. Rise after rise, both the phantoms behind me. Afar down I see the huge first nothing, the vapor from the nostrils of death. I know I was even there. I waited, unseen and always, and slept while God carried me through the lethargic mist, and took my time, and took no hurt from the foetid carbon. Long I was hugged close, long and long. Immense have been the preparations for me, faithful and friendly the arms that have helped me. Cycles ferried my cradle, rowing and rowing like cheerful boatmen. Room for me, stars kept aside in their own rings. They sent influences to look after what was to hold me. Before I was born out of my mother, generations guided me. My embryo has never been torpid. Nothing could overlay it. For it, the nebula cohered to an orb. The long, slow strata piled to rest it on. Vast vegetables gave it sustenance. Monstrous saurids transported in their mouths and deposited with care. All forces have been steadily employed to complete and delight me. Now I stand on this spot with my soul. I have said that the soul is not more than the body. And I have said that the body is not more than the soul. And nothing, not God, is greater to one than oneself is. And whoever walks a furlong without sympathy walks to his own funeral dressed in his shroud. And I, or you, pocketless of a dime, may purchase the pick of the earth, and to glance with an eye or show a bean in its pod confounds the learning of all times. And there is no trade or employment, but the young man following it may become a hero. And there is no object so soft, but it makes a hub for the wheeled universe. And any man or woman shall stand cool and supercilious before a million universes. And I call to mankind, be not curious about God, for I, who am curious about each, am not curious about God. No array of terms can say how much I am at peace about God and about death. I hear and behold God in every object, yet I understand not God in the least, nor do I understand who there can be more wonderful than myself. Why should I wish to see God better than this day? I see something of God each hour of the 24, and each moment then. In the faces of men and women I see God, and in my own face in the glass. I find letters from God dropped in the street, and every one is signed by God's name. And I leave them where they are, for I know that others will punctually come forever and ever. And as to you, death, and you, bitter hug of mortality, it is idle to try to alarm me. To his work without flinching, the accoucher comes. I see the elder hand pressing, receiving, supporting. I recline by the sills of the exquisite flexible doors and mark the outlet and mark the relief and escape. And as to you, corpse, I think you are good manure, but that does not offend me. I smell the white roses, sweet-scented and growing. I reach to the leafy lips. I reach to the polished breasts of melons. And as to you, life, I reckon you are the leavings of many deaths. No doubt I have died myself 10,000 times before. I hear you whispering there, O stars of heaven, O suns, O grass of graves, O perpetual transfers and promotions. If you do not say anything, how can I say anything? Of the turpid pool that lies in the autumn forest, of the moon that descends the steeps of the soughing twilight, toss sparkles of day and dusk, toss on the black stems that decay in the muck, toss to the moaning gibberish of the dry limbs. I ascend from the moon, I ascend from the night, and perceive of the ghastly glitter in sunbeams rejected, reflected, and debauch to the steady and central form the offspring great or small. There is that in me. I do not know what it is, but I know it is in me. Wretched and sweaty, calm and cool then my body becomes. I sleep long. I do not know it. It is without name. It is a word unsaid. It is not in any dictionary or utterance or symbol. Sometimes it swings on more than the earth I swing on. To it the creation is the friend whose embracing awakes me. Perhaps I might tell more. Outlines. I plead for my brothers and sisters. Do you see, oh my brothers and sisters, it is not chaos or death. It is form and union and plan. It is eternal life. It is happiness. The past and present wilt. I have filled them and emptied them and proceed to fill my next fold of the future. Listener, up there, hear you. What have you to confide to me? Look at my face while I snuff the sidle of evening. Talk honestly, for no one else hears you, and I stay only a minute longer. Do I contradict myself? Very well then, I contradict myself. I am large. I contain multitudes. I concentrate towards them that are nigh. I wait on the door slab. Who has done his day's work and will soonest be through with his supper? Who wishes to talk to me? Will you speak before I'm gone? Will you prove already too late? The spotted hawk swoops by and accuses me. He complains of my gab and my loitering. I too am not a bit tamed. I too am untranslatable. I sound my barbaric yawp over the roofs of the world. The last scud of day holds back for me. It flings my likeness after the rest, and true as any in the shadowed wilds, it coaxes me to the vapor in the dusk. I depart as air. I shake my white locks at the runaway sun. I effused my flesh in eddies and drifted in lacy jags. I bequeath myself to the dirt, to grow from the grass I love. If you want me again, look for me under your boot soles. You will hardly know who I am or what I mean, but I shall be good health to you nevertheless, and filter and fiber your blood. Failing to fetch me at first, keep encouraged. Missing me one place, search another. I stop somewhere, waiting for you.
Thank you, Kay. That was a great buoyant ending. And thank you, John, and thank you, Corinne, and thank you, Jennifer. We all keep focusing on the text. And he's a man who, he could have been a woman, but he's a man. He opened up for all of us. He had an all-embracing democratic spirit. And way back in 1855, he was way ahead of, the women's suffrage. He was saying body of the woman is equal to that of the man. And he was just a wonderful poet. And so thank you once again, Jennifer Clymer, and thank you all readers for giving a wonderful reading.